Captain Jake Morrison stood at the large window of the Galactic Council station. Stars filled the dark space around them. He watched alien ships move past the station. Some were huge, covered in weapons. Others glowed with strange lights. All of them made the three human ships look tiny and weak. "Are you ready for this?" Ambassador Lisa Carter asked as she walked up beside him. She wore her best uniform, but Jake could see worry in her eyes. "As ready as we can be," Jake said. He looked at their small fleet again. The USS Liberty, their flagship, was clean and new, but next to the alien warships it looked like a toy. They walked through the station halls toward the council chamber. Aliens of many different types filled the corridors. The tall, thin ethereals floated past them without looking down. The rock-like granite people stomped by with heavy steps. Reptilian Vorthons hissed to each other in their own language. None of them paid much attention to the humans. Why would they? Everyone knew humans were the weakest race in the galaxy. The council chamber was enormous. Thousands of seats rose up in circles around a central stage. Representatives from hundreds of worlds sat waiting. Jake and Lisa took their seats in the smallest section, marked for probationary members. High Counselor Velnari appeared on the stage. The ethereal leader was beautiful and scary at the same time. Her voice filled the chamber without any machines. To make it louder, "Today we hear from humanity," she said. "They have been probationary members for 50 years. Now they ask for full membership and territorial rights." Lisa stood up and walked to the center stage. Jake watched from their section as she began to speak. "Honored counselors," Lisa said. "Humanity has spent 50 years learning from our galactic neighbors. We have kept peace with all species. We ask now to join you as equals." Quiet laughter started in some sections. It grew louder as Lisa continued talking about human achievements and peaceful intentions. Admiral Zektar of the Vorthon Empire stood up. He was large even for his reptilian species. Scars covered his scales from many battles. "Equals?" he hissed. "Your entire fleet could not defeat one of our patrol groups. You bring 3 ships and call yourselves a space power?" More laughter filled the chamber. The crystalline hegemony's ambassador, a being made of living crystal, spoke in a voice like breaking glass. "Our scans show human technology is primitive. Your weapons are weak. Your shields are basic. Perhaps in another century you will be ready for real space warfare." The Granite Confederation representative, a mountain of living rock, rumbled his agreement. "Humans are not warriors. They are barely more than planet-bound creatures." Jake felt his hands tighten into fists. He wanted to stand up and tell them the truth, but he stayed seated. This was all part of the plan. Lisa kept her calm expression as the insults continued. Species after species stood to explain why humans were not ready for full membership. They talked about weak ships, old technology, and small populations. "Your people hide behind diplomacy because you cannot fight," Admiral Zektar said. "Real galactic powers take what they need. We do not ask for permission." The chamber erupted in agreement. Aliens stamped feet, clapped hands, and made other sounds of approval. The message was clear. Humans were too weak to matter. High Counselor Velnari raised her hand for silence. When the chamber quieted, she spoke in a kind but firm voice. "Humanity has shown peaceful intentions. This is admirable. However, full membership requires the ability to defend oneself and contribute to galactic security. Perhaps humanity would benefit from more time to develop their capabilities." She paused and looked directly at Lisa. "We postpone this request indefinitely. Humanity may reapply when they have demonstrated significant military advancement." The session ended with more laughter and conversation among the aliens. Jake and Lisa gathered their few documents and left the chamber. No one tried to stop them or ask questions. No one cared what the weak humans thought. They walked back to the docking bay in silence. Other species ambassadors passed them in the halls, talking loudly about human weakness and amusing requests for equality. "Did you see their ships?" One crystalline being said to another. "I have seen cargo vessels with better weapons." 50 years in space, and that is all they can build, a Vorthon officer replied. "My personal fighter could destroy their flagship." Jake and Lisa kept walking. They did not respond to the insults. They had heard it all before. When they reached the Liberty, the crew was waiting. The captain, a young woman named Sarah Mills, saluted them both. "How did it go?" she asked. "Exactly as expected," Lisa replied. "They think we are weak and pathetic." Sarah nodded. "The other species ships have been scanning us constantly. They seem very interested in our primitive technology." Jake smiled for the first time that day. "Let them scan. They will only see what we want them to see." They went to Lisa's private quarters on the ship. She closed the door and activated several security devices. Then she pulled out a small communication device that looked like nothing special. "This is Lisa Carter," she said into the device. "Operation Sleeping Giant Phase 1 complete," a voice answered immediately. "Understood, Ambassador. How was the performance?" "Perfect," Lisa said. "They believe we are exactly what we appear to be. Weak, helpless, and barely capable of space travel." "Excellent. Phase 2 will begin when needed. How long do you think we have?" Lisa looked at Jake. He had been studying the aliens for years. "Not long," Jake said. "Admiral Zektar was looking at our territorial maps. His people are always hungry for new conquests." "Then we continue to wait," the voice said. "All Shadow Fleet commanders remain on standby. The galaxy will learn the truth when the time is right." Lisa put away the device. She and Jake looked out the window at the alien ships again. This time they were both smiling. 50 years of being called weak," Jake said. 50 years of insults and mockery. "It will all be worth it," Lisa replied. "When they finally see what humanity really is." The Liberty and her 2 escort ships left the station quietly. The alien vessels paid no attention to them. Why would they watch 3 primitive human ships? As they jumped to faster-than-light travel, neither Jake nor Lisa looked back. They had work to do. The galaxy thought it knew humanity's limitations. Soon, very soon, they would learn how wrong they were. Jake Morrison sat alone in his quarters aboard the Liberty. The ship was traveling through space at high speed, heading back toward human territory. He opened his personal log and began to record his thoughts about the council meeting. As he spoke, into the recorder his mind went back to the beginning, back to when humanity first learned they were not alone in the universe. 53 years ago, the first alien ship had appeared near Earth. It was a trading vessel from the crystalline hegemony. The crystal beings had been friendly, but made it clear that humans were far behind other galactic species in technology. General Marcus Stone had been the head of Earth's military forces then. He was a tall, serious man who understood that humanity faced a choice. They could try to catch up quickly and probably fail, or they could be patient and smart. Stone had called a secret meeting with the world's leaders. Jake remembered reading the classified reports years later. The general had said something that changed everything. "We cannot match their technology today," Stone had told the room full of presidents and prime ministers. "But we can make them. Think we never will. While they ignore us as harmless, we will build the greatest military force this galaxy has ever seen." The plan was called Operation Sleeping Giant. It would take decades to complete. It would require lying to the entire galaxy, including most of humanity itself. Dr. Helen Wade had been put in charge of the technology development. She was a brilliant engineer who had worked on humanity's first space stations. Her job was to study alien technology and make it better. The aliens had been happy to trade with humans. They gave humanity access to basic space travel technology. They shared information about faster-than-light communication. They even sold humans some old weapons and shield systems. What they did not know was that Dr. Wade and her team were taking apart everything they received. Every alien device was studied, improved, and then rebuilt with human modifications. "The Vorthans gave us their old plasma cannons," Dr. Wade had written in one report that Jake had read. "They think these weapons are outdated. We have increased their power by 300% and reduced their size by half." Commander Rick Hayes had led the secret construction effort. His job was to build shipyards where the aliens would never think to look. He chose empty star systems far from any trade routes, places where no alien species had any interest. Hayes and his teams had worked for decades. They built mining ships, that were actually mobile construction platforms. They established research stations that were really weapons factories. They created a network of hidden bases across hundreds of star systems. The most impressive part was how they hid it all. Every secret base looked like something else from the outside. Asteroid mining operations, scientific research stations, or simple communication relays. The aliens saw exactly what humans wanted them to see. Colonel Nina Brooks had handled the most difficult part of the operation. She had to recruit and train a secret military force. Millions of humans had to be brought into the project without the aliens finding out. People with the right skills were quietly approached. Scientists, engineers, pilots, and soldiers were offered jobs with fake civilian companies. They thought they were working on mining projects or research programs. Only the highest levels knew the real truth. Brooks had been brilliant at hiding the training programs. Fighter pilot training was disguised as asteroid survey missions. Weapons training happened in remote locations that looked like industrial facilities. Battle tactics were taught in buildings marked as business schools. The aliens occasionally scanned human activities. They found exactly what they expected to find. Humans working on basic technology, mining asteroids and building simple space stations. Nothing that looked like military preparation. Jake's thoughts turned to the ships themselves. The human fleet that the galaxy had seen was real, but it was only the tip of the iceberg. The Liberty and ships like her were built to look primitive compared to alien technology. They used older weapons and weaker shields on purpose. Meanwhile, in hidden shipyards across the galaxy, the real human fleet was taking shape. Ships that combined the best technology from every alien species. Vessels that were faster, stronger, and better armed than anything the galaxy had seen. The Shadow Fleet, as it came to be known, grew slowly and carefully. Each ship was built using resources that officially went to other projects. Metal that was supposed to build mining equipment instead became hull plating. Computer systems meant for research stations became ship navigation systems. Jake had seen some of the Shadow Fleet ships during his training. They were beautiful and terrifying. Sleek vessels that could outrun any alien fighter. Massive battleships with weapons that could destroy entire enemy fleets. Carriers that held hundreds of advanced fighters. The aliens had no idea that any of this existed. As far as they knew, humanity had 36 small ships scattered across their territory. Weak vessels that could barely defend themselves against pirates. General Stone had died 5 years ago, but not before seeing his plan near completion. Jake remembered the old man's last public speech. He had talked about patience and the importance of long-term thinking. Good things come to those who wait, Stone had said, but the best things come to those who wait and prepare. Dr. Wade was still alive and still working. Her latest report had been amazing to read. Human technology was now at least 50 years ahead of anything the aliens possessed. Weapons that could pierce any known shield. Armor that could stop any alien weapon. Engines that made human ships the fastest in the galaxy. Commander Hayes had completed the construction phase 2 years ago. The Shadow Fleet was ready. Over 10,000 warships waited in hidden bases across the galaxy. Ground forces, support, ships and mobile bases were all in position. Colonel Brooks, now a general herself, commanded the secret military force. Millions of trained soldiers, pilots, and crew members waited for orders. They worked normal jobs and lived normal lives, but they were ready to fight at a moment's notice. The communication device Lisa had used was connected to this vast network. A single message could activate the entire Shadow Fleet in minutes. Bases that looked like asteroids would reveal themselves as shipyards. Mining operations would become military installations. Research stations would launch squadrons of fighters. Jake closed his log and looked out his window at the stars. Somewhere out there, Admiral Zektar was probably celebrating his successful intimidation of the weak humans. The reptilian warrior had no idea that human ships were already watching his fleet. The galaxy thought it knew humanity's place. The weak species that could barely leave their home system. The pathetic race that begged for scraps of territory and respect. Soon they would learn the truth. When they did, the galaxy would never be the same. Jake smiled as he thought about the expressions on their faces. 50 years of careful planning was about to pay off. The sleeping giant was almost ready to wake up. All they needed now was the right moment. Something that would justify revealing the truth to a shocked galaxy. Something that would make it clear why humanity had been so patient for so long. That moment was coming soon. Jake could feel it. Mayor Tom Bradley stood on the observation deck of New Denver's City Hall. The human colony stretched out below him, a beautiful sight of green parks and clean buildings. 3 million people called this world home. It was one of humanity's proudest achievements in space. "Sir, we have incoming ships," his assistant said, running into the room. "Long-range sensors show 50 vessels approaching our system." Tom felt his stomach drop. New Denver only had 3 patrol ships for defense. Everyone knew that human colonies were lightly defended. The Galactic Council rules said that probationary members could not build large military forces. "What species?" Tom asked, though he was afraid he already knew the answer. "Vorthon Empire, sir. The lead ship is broadcasting Prince Carthul's personal signal." Tom closed his eyes for a moment. Prince Carthul was known throughout the galaxy as a violent and cruel leader. He was the son of the Vorthon Emperor and wanted to prove himself worthy of the throne. The prince was famous for attacking weaker species without warning. Captain Alex Turner was the commander of New Denver's small defense force. He was a young man who had never seen real combat. His 3 ships were patrol vessels, designed to stop pirates and smugglers, not fight a Royal Vorthon fleet. "Captain Turner to Mayor Bradley," came the voice over the communication system. "Sir, I'm moving my ships to intercept, but with 50 enemy vessels." "Do what you can, Captain," Tom replied. "I'm evacuating the cities." Tom activated the colony's emergency systems. Warning sirens began to sound across New Denver. People looked up at the sky with fear as they heard the announcement. "This is not a drill. All citizens must move to the underground shelters immediately. This is not a drill." On the bridge of his flagship, Prince Carthul watched the human colony through his main screen. The reptilian prince was young for his species, but already covered in scars from his various conquests. His yellow eyes showed no emotion as he studied his target. "My prince," his second-in-command said, "the humans are trying to communicate with us." "Ignore them," Carthul replied. "I did not come here to talk." The prince had chosen New Denver for a specific reason. It was far from any major alien territories, so no one would interfere. The colony was valuable enough to be worth conquering, but defended weakly enough to be an easy victory. Most importantly, the attack would be broadcast across the galaxy as entertainment. "Begin the attack," Carthul ordered. "I want this finished quickly." Captain Turner's 3 ships moved to protect the colony, but they were completely outmatched. The Vorthon ships opened fire with weapons that tore through human shields like paper. Turner's flagship took a direct hit and began to break apart. "This is Captain Turner," he broadcast on all frequencies. "We are under unprovoked attack by Vorthon forces, requesting immediate assistance from any nearby vessels." But there were no nearby vessels. New Denver was alone. The Vorthon ships moved into orbit around the planet and began bombing the cities. Their weapons were designed to cause maximum destruction and fear. Buildings collapsed as energy beams struck them. Parks turned into craters. The beautiful colony became a burning ruin in minutes. General Sam Mitchell was on Earth when the first reports arrived. He was officially retired from military service, but he was actually one of the senior commanders of the Shadow Fleet. He watched the live broadcasts with growing anger. The galactic news networks were treating the attack as entertainment. Alien reporters described the destruction with excitement, praising Prince Carthul's tactical skills and the power of Vorthon weapons. "Look at how efficiently the Vorthon forces are destroying this human settlement," one reporter said with enthusiasm. "The prince's strategy is flawless against such weak opposition." General Mitchell watched as the Vorthon ships targeted schools, hospitals, and residential areas. These were not military targets. This was pure slaughter of innocent civilians. Mayor Bradley had made it to the emergency bunker beneath the city hall. Reports were coming in from across the colony. The underground shelters were protecting some people, but many had not made it to safety in time. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from Prince Carthul," a technician said. "Put it on screen." Tom replied. The reptilian prince appeared on the main display. Behind him, Tom could see displays showing the burning cities of New Denver. I am Prince Carthul of the Vorthan Empire, the alien said. This colony now belongs to me. Any humans who survive may serve as slaves, or they may die. Those are your only choices. Why? Tom asked. We have done nothing to your people. This is an unprovoked attack on innocent civilians. Carthul laughed, a sound like breaking glass. I need no reason beyond wanting your world. This is how real galactic powers behave. We take what we desire. The transmission ended. Tom looked around the bunker at the terrified faces of his staff. Outside, he could hear the sounds of continued bombing. Captain Turner was dying on the bridge of his destroyed ship. He had managed to keep the communication systems working just long enough to send one final message. His words were broadcast to every human world simultaneously. This is Captain Alex Turner of the New Denver Defense Force, he said, his voice weak but clear. Prince Carthul of the Vorthan Empire has attacked our colony without provocation. Over 100,000 civilians are dead or dying. The Galactic Council has been informed but will take no action. Turner coughed, and blood appeared on his lips. We trusted in galactic law and diplomacy. We believed that peaceful species would be protected. We were wrong. The transmission cut to static as Turner's ship finally broke apart completely. Deep beneath the Colorado Rockies on Earth, a hidden command center received every detail of the attack. General Stone had built this facility 50 years ago, and it had been the secret heart of Operation Sleeping Giant ever since. The current military leadership gathered around a massive display table. They watched the destruction of New Denver in real time, fed by hidden sensors throughout human space. The room was silent except for the quiet sounds of the displays. Everyone present had dedicated their lives to preparing for this moment. They had waited 50 years for the right time to reveal humanity's true strength. Sir, an aide said to the senior general present, we have confirmation. Over 100,000 civilians are dead. The Vorthan Prince is broadcasting the attack as entertainment across the galaxy. The general was an old man now, one of the few people who had worked with Marcus Stone himself. He looked around the room at the other commanders, men and women who had spent decades preparing for this day. The Galactic Council? He asked. They have issued a statement expressing concern, but will take no action. They say this is a territorial dispute that must be resolved between the species involved. The general nodded slowly. This was exactly what they had expected. The Galactic Council only protected strong species. Weak races like humanity were considered expendable. Activate all communication networks, the general ordered. Send the message to every Shadow Fleet commander simultaneously. A young technician hesitated at his console. Sir, once we send this message, there is no going back. The galaxy will know everything. The general looked at the display showing New Denver burning. He thought about Captain Turner and Mayor Bradley and the 100,000 innocent people who had died for Prince Carthul's amusement. Send the message, he said firmly. Operation Sleeping Giant is over. It is time for the galaxy to meet the real humanity. The technician pressed a series of buttons. Across the galaxy, in hidden bases and disguised facilities, commanders received the same simple message. Awaken the giant. All units, full activation. Show them who we really are. Admiral Kate Sullivan received the activation message while standing on the bridge of the UHS Sovereign. The massive ship had been disguised as an asteroid field for over 20 years. Now, as the camouflage systems powered down, the largest warship ever built was revealed to the galaxy. All stations report ready, Admiral, her tactical officer said. Lieutenant Commander Amy Foster was young, but had trained her entire life for this moment. Signal the fleet, Admiral Sullivan ordered. Begin emergence protocol. Across the galaxy, similar scenes were happening in hundreds of star systems. Asteroid fields suddenly moved and changed shape, revealing themselves as hidden shipyards. Mining operations transformed into military bases as their disguises fell away. Research stations opened to release squadrons of fighters that had been waiting inside. The galaxy watched in stunned silence as humanity's true fleet emerged from decades of hiding. What every alien species had believed was humanity's complete. Military force was revealed to be less than 1% of their actual capability. Fleet Admiral Roy Jackson commanded the first battle group to reveal itself. His ships had been hidden in the outer rim, disguised as a simple asteroid mining operation. As the holographic camouflage shut down, 50 advanced human warships appeared where empty space had been moments before. "This is Fleet Admiral Jackson. To all human forces," he broadcast on secure channels. "Phase 1 complete. All vessels report status." The responses came in from across the galaxy. Battle groups, fighter squadrons, and support fleets all confirmed they were ready for action. The coordination was perfect, the result of 50 years of careful planning. Prince Carthul was still celebrating his victory at New Denver when his sensors detected the approaching human fleet. He laughed when his tactical officer reported the contact. "How many ships?" the prince asked, expecting to hear about another pathetic human patrol. 200 vessels, my prince. Large ones." Carthul's laughter stopped. "That is impossible. Humans do not have 200 ships." "Sir, I am reading their signatures. They are definitely human vessels, but the technology—" "My prince, these ships are more advanced than ours." On the bridge of his flagship, Captain Ben Rogers watched Prince Carthul's fleet through the main display. The Vorthan ships looked primitive compared to the human vessels surrounding them. "Open a channel to the prince," Rogers ordered. Carthul appeared on the screen, his reptilian features showing confusion and fear. Behind him, Rogers could see Vorthan officers running around in panic. "I am Captain Ben Rogers of the United Human Fleet," Rogers said calmly. "You have committed genocide against human civilians. Surrender your vessels immediately." "This is impossible," Carthul hissed. "Humans are weak. Your technology is primitive. Where did these ships come from?" Rogers smiled coldly. "We have been patient for 50 years, Prince. We allowed you to believe we were weak because it served our purposes. Now you will learn the truth." The Vorthan prince tried to rally his forces, but his ships were completely outmatched. Human vessels moved faster than anything in his fleet. Their weapons cut through Vorthan shields like they were made of paper. Their own shields absorbed Vorthan fire without any visible effect. Admiral Sullivan was addressing not just the human fleet but the entire galaxy. Human technicians had taken control of every major communication network simultaneously, ensuring that every species would hear her words. "People of the galaxy," she began, her voice calm and measured. "For 50 years you have mistaken our patience for weakness. You have confused our diplomacy with cowardice. You have assumed that our restraint meant we were incapable of war, the Ram." Admiral paused as images of the human fleet appeared on screens across the galaxy. Alien populations watched in shock as thousands of advanced human warships filled their displays. "Today you learn the difference between choosing peace and being unable to fight. Humanity has spent 5 decades building the most advanced military force this galaxy has ever seen. We have done this in secret while you dismissed us as harmless." In the Galactic Council chamber, emergency sessions were being called as reports came in from across the galaxy. Every major alien military installation was suddenly facing overwhelming human forces that had appeared from nowhere. High Counselor Velnari called for order as panicked representatives demanded answers. The same chamber that had mocked humanity just days earlier was now filled with fear and confusion. "How is this possible?" Admiral Zektar demanded. "Our intelligence showed they had only dozens of ships." "Your intelligence showed you exactly what we wanted you to see," came a voice from the chamber entrance. Admiral Sullivan walked into the chamber, escorted by human marines in advanced combat armor. The same aliens who had laughed at human weakness now stared in silence at soldiers whose equipment made them nearly invulnerable. "You permitted the unprovoked slaughter of 100,000 human civilians," Admiral Sullivan continued. "Your council offered empty words while Prince Carthul broadcast our people's deaths as entertainment." The Admiral activated a holographic display that showed the current positions of human forces throughout the galaxy. Every alien representative could see that their home worlds were now within range of human weapons. "The age of humanity being ignored is over," Sullivan declared. You will find that we are not the weak species you believed us to be. Captain Rogers was demonstrating humanity's technological superiority at New Denver. His ships had surrounded what remained of Prince Carthul's fleet. The Prince's flagship was the only Vorthon vessel still fighting. "Prince Carthul," Rogers said over an open channel. "You will surrender now, or your ship will be destroyed." "I am a prince of the Vorthon Empire," Carthul replied. "I do not surrender to inferior species." Rogers nodded to Lieutenant Commander Foster. "Disable their weapons and engines. Leave life support intact." Foster targeted the Vorthon flagship with precision that amazed even the human crew. The alien ship's weapon systems were destroyed by energy beams that somehow passed through their shields. Their engines stopped working as human technology interfered with their power systems. "Your shields are useless against our weapons," Rogers explained to the stunned prince. "Your armor cannot stop our energy beams. Your ships are too slow to escape us. Surrender now." The crystalline hegemony's battle station near the galactic core suddenly found itself facing a human fleet led by Admiral Chris Parker. The crystal beings had always considered their technology superior to all other species. "This is Admiral Parker," came the transmission. "You will stand down your weapons and prepare to receive human inspection teams." The crystalline commander responded with typical arrogance. "Human vessels cannot threaten this station. Our defenses are impenetrable." Admiral Parker ordered a demonstration. Human ships fired weapons that should not have been able to penetrate crystal shields. The energy beams passed through the alien defenses as if they did not exist, striking the station's secondary systems. "Your shields protect against energy weapons," Parker explained. "Our weapons phase shift through energy barriers before solidifying inside your defenses. Would you like another demonstration, or will you comply?" Throughout the galaxy, similar scenes were playing out. Alien forces that had seemed invincible were being overwhelmed by human technology they had never imagined possible. The Granite. Confederation's mobile fortress was stopped in space by human ships that moved faster than their sensors could track. The ethereal home fleet found their advanced weapons useless against human armor that adapted to each attack. Species after species discovered that the technology gap had not just been closed, but completely reversed. Humanity was now 50 years ahead of their most advanced science. Back in the Galactic Council chamber, Admiral Sullivan was finishing her address to the shocked alien representatives. "Humanity did not reveal this fleet to conquer the galaxy," she said. "We revealed it to protect the innocent from predators like Prince Carthul, but make no mistake. We are now the dominant military power in this galaxy." She looked directly at Admiral Zektar and the other military leaders present. "The next time you consider attacking a peaceful species, remember New Denver. Remember that humanity watches everything that happens in this galaxy. And remember that we will not allow genocide to go unpunished." The chamber fell silent as the full implications became clear. The species that had mocked humanity as weak were now facing the most powerful military force in galactic history. The galaxy would never be the same. President Claire Watson stood before the reformed Galactic Council 6 months after the Great Revelation. The Council now met on a new station built by human technology, orbiting Earth itself. The same alien species that had once mocked humanity now competed to offer tribute and alliance. "The galaxy has changed," President Watson began her address. "For too long, strong species preyed upon the weak while the Galactic Council watched and did nothing. Those days are over." The audience was very different from the one that had laughed at humanity before. Prince Carthul sat in chains awaiting his trial for war crimes. His own people had abandoned him to gain favor with humanity. The Vorthon Empire was now humanity's first client state, grateful to avoid complete destruction. Admiral Chris Parker, the new head of Galactic Peacekeeping Forces, watched from his seat in the military section. The multinational fleet under his command included ships from dozens of species, all working under human leadership. The same aliens who had called humans weak now begged to serve alongside them. "We offer protection to all peaceful civilizations," President Watson continued. "But we will not tolerate aggression against innocent populations. The fate of Prince Carthul will serve as an example to anyone who considers genocide as entertainment. The trial had been broadcast across the galaxy. Prince Carthul was found guilty of crimes against humanity and sentenced to life imprisonment. His conviction sent a clear message. The age of casual slaughter was over. Director Paul Stevens ran the new Galactic Intelligence Network from a hidden facility on Earth. His job was to make sure that no species could threaten galactic peace. Without humanity knowing about it immediately, the network used technology that was years ahead of anything the aliens possessed. "We have agents on every major world," Stevens reported to the president. "Any military buildup, any planning for aggressive action, any threat to peaceful species will be detected before it can develop." The intelligence network was completely invisible to alien security systems. Human agents posed as traders, diplomats, and researchers while monitoring potential threats. The galaxy was now under constant observation. Captain Jill Monroe commanded the UHS Unity, the first vessel with an integrated crew of humans and aliens working as equals. Her mission was to explore beyond the galactic rim, extending humanity's protection to new civilizations they might encounter. "We have made contact with 3 new species in the past month," Captain Monroe reported during her regular briefing. "All of them have been peaceful. We have offered them protection and trade agreements." The Unity was a symbol of the new galaxy. Humans worked alongside crystalline engineers, Vorthon warriors, and ethereal scientists. The species that had once considered themselves superior now learned from human leadership. The transformation had not been without challenges. Some species had initially resisted human authority. The Granite Confederation had tried to organize an alliance against humanity. That alliance had lasted exactly 3 days before human forces demonstrated their overwhelming superiority. Admiral Zektar, the Vorthon who had mocked humanity so cruelly, now served as an advisor to Admiral Parker. The reptilian warrior had learned to respect human military capabilities after seeing his entire fleet disabled in minutes. "The humans fight like no species I have ever encountered," Zektar admitted during a military briefing. "They plan for decades while others think in terms of years. They consider every possibility while others react to immediate threats." The economic transformation had been just as dramatic as the military one. Human technology was now the most valuable commodity in the galaxy. Species that had once offered humans basic trade goods now competed to purchase advanced human systems. Dr. Helen Wade, now in her 80s but still brilliant, oversaw the controlled release of human technology to alien species. Her teams decided which innovations could be safely shared and which needed to remain secret. "We give them enough to improve their lives," Dr. Wade explained, "but not enough to threaten galactic peace. They receive medical technology, communication systems, and basic weapons. The truly advanced systems remain under human control." The city of New Denver had been rebuilt as a memorial to the victims of Prince Carthul's attack. The new city was beautiful and modern, but it included a massive monument listing the names of all 100,000 people who had died. Mayor Tom Bradley, who had survived the attack in the underground bunkers, now served as the memorial's caretaker. He gave tours to visitors from across the galaxy, ensuring they understood the cost of unchecked aggression. "They died because the galaxy thought humanity was weak," Bradley would tell each group of visitors. "They were not forgotten when humanity proved the galaxy wrong." The memorial had become a pilgrimage site for species seeking to understand humanity's transformation. Alien leaders came to pay their respects and to learn about the price of underestimating human determination. Ambassador Lisa Carter, now Secretary General of the Galactic Council, worked to establish new laws that would prevent future genocides. The Council's power was now backed by human military force, making their decisions meaningful for the first time in galactic history. "No species will ever again face extinction, while others watch for entertainment," Carter declared as she signed the new Galactic Protection Accords. Humanity guarantees the safety of all peaceful civilizations. The Accords established humanity as the official protector of the galaxy. Any species threatened by aggression could call for human intervention. The response was guaranteed to be swift and overwhelming. Jake Morrison, now an admiral himself, commanded the rapid response fleets stationed throughout the galaxy. His ships could reach any threatened world within hours. The mere knowledge of their existence had prevented dozens of potential conflicts. "We do not seek to rule the galaxy," Admiral Morrison explained to new alien allies. "We seek to protect it. There is a difference between leadership and domination." The distinction was important to human leadership. Species that cooperated with the New Order were treated as partners. Those that threatened peace were dealt with firmly but fairly. Humanity had become the galaxy's guardian, not its conqueror. The changes went beyond military and political transformation. Human culture was spreading throughout the galaxy as alien species tried to understand what made humans so effective. Human music, art, and literature became popular on worlds that had never heard of Earth. Alien students came to human universities to study human history and philosophy. They wanted to understand how a species could plan for 50 years without revealing their intentions. The concept of such long-term thinking was alien to most galactic civilizations. "Humans think in generations," one crystalline scholar observed. "Most species think in terms of their individual lifespans. This gives humans a unique advantage in planning and strategy." Captain Monroe's exploration missions continued to expand human influence beyond the galaxy's borders. Each new species they encountered was offered protection and partnership. None were forced to accept, but few refused the benefits of human alliance. "We have found 17 new civilizations," Monroe reported in her latest briefing. 12 have requested protection agreements. 3 want to remain neutral but peaceful. 2 are still considering our offer. The galaxy had grown larger and safer under human protection. Trade routes that had been dangerous for centuries became secure highways. Pirates and raiders found themselves facing human patrol ships that could not be outrun or outfought. As President Watson concluded her anniversary address, she looked out at an audience that represented hundreds of worlds and species. The same beings who had once considered humans barely worthy of notice now hung on her every word. 1 year ago, Prince Carthul murdered 100,000 innocent people because he believed the strong could prey upon the weak without consequence. Today, no species in this galaxy fears such unprovoked aggression. She paused and looked directly at the memorial section, where representatives from New Denver sat with the families of the victims. Their sacrifice was not in vain. From their deaths came a new galaxy, one where peaceful species can live without fear, where diplomatic solutions are backed by the strength to enforce them, where no one species can consider another disposable. The session ended with a moment of silence for the New Denver victims. As the alien representatives filed out of the chamber, many stopped to speak with the human officials. These were not the mocking conversations of the past, but respectful exchanges between allies. Admiral Sullivan, now retired but still influential, watched the proceedings from the observation gallery. She thought about General Stone and Dr. Wade and all the others who had worked for 50 years to make this moment possible. The sleeping giant had awakened, and the galaxy was safer for it. Humanity had proven that patience and planning could triumph over immediate strength. The species that had mocked them as weak now lived under their protection. And in the depths of space, human ships continued their eternal watch, ensuring that the New Denver massacre would never be repeated. The galaxy had learned to respect humanity. But more importantly, it had learned to live in peace. The age of casual genocide was over. The age of human protection had begun.